Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are talking about Facebook groups are fueling a black market for Uber and Doordash accounts, says a new report. I am shocked it took until April 17th of 2025, specifically stating that for the posting of this article, for somebody to speak up against account renting. Am I the only one paying attention? Or really the only people on the ground paying attention? I'm glad that this is finally coming to light, or at least brighter than the dim light that has been put on it. It really shouldn't surprise me that there are Facebook groups dedicated to that. It's news enough to me to make me think, I didn't even think about that. And apparently this article is gonna talk all about it. So with that said, we are talking about everything that is being said in this article, how it actually is for DoorDash, UberEats, and Grubhub drivers and customers, and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. A new watchdog report uncovers Facebook groups quietly fueling a black market for operational Uber and DoorDash accounts, posing serious safety concerns for riders and customers. I know that I shouldn't have grievances this early on, especially on the first sentence, but this is doing so much more than threatening the riders and customers. There are wait lists for people who are trying to get on apps like DoorDash and UberEats in their market, and they have a hard time doing so for the obvious reason of there is a wait list so long that people can't get in. Meanwhile, you have people who are getting in via the most illegal means possible, whether they're deactivated for the wrong reasons or not from this country or have a criminal record, while there are good, honest people who want to get in on this and they can't. And that's truly upsetting. And the worst part is that's not even the best apps that you could work for, but people still have a hard time getting in. The Tech Transparency Project, TTP, a research initiative run by the nonprofit the Campaign for Accountability, found more than 80 black market groups through the searches for terms such as Uber account for rent, sporting a combined membership of more than 800,000 users, and named things like Uber delivery drivers account for rent or Uber account for rent worldwide. These groups make it no secret of their intent. And it took them this long to pay attention to the fact that it's a huge problem for all parties involved. Just want to gently toss that into the ring here. Through these online groups, users can acquire delivery or rideshare accounts without going through the required screening process, allowing those without licenses or insurance to drive for these companies. By bypassing the screening procedure, buyers can also skip the required background checks for drivers. The insurance thing is something that they seldom care about anyway. Like DoorDash, you check a box, so it's not that big a deal. Uber's kind of on your ass because they're also a rideshare company, but they don't really do a deep dive into that either. They just want to make sure you always have something. The concept that people who are either dangerous or not of this country or deactivated for some reason or just shouldn't be on the platform in general, still being on the platform because they're pulling this shady shit. For women or people who may be vulnerable if the person making the delivery or picking somebody up via Uber has a criminal history, there is an increased risk to those users, TTP director Katie Paul says. Okay, well, first off, if we're talking about like safety, driver safety needs to be more of a priority here. Like, I get what you're saying, but way to make this about women's safety long before general safety on the platform and long before drivers, which is a notoriously dangerous job according to the same statistics they claim to pull from. That is highly neglected here. Like, you're making this about customers and the people who are in other people's cars. What about the drivers? Drivers are inviting people into their cars to drive them somewhere. that person's more at risk than somebody who is just going for a ride with a random stranger. They're in a vulnerable position too. And delivery drivers, 9 times out of 10, we get a contactless delivery. We leave it at the door, you barely notice we're there. There is more fraud that happens with customers than drivers, but we're more on the driver's ass now because the customers are being held accountable more. I swear, the people who are making this a bigger issue now are making this a bigger issue because they had an issue with their delivery, and that's really it. Or they had an issue with an Uber driver, and now they're taking it out on the company. For good reason. I'm not in support of these companies, but that's what it feels like to me. Okay, so the remainder of this article is less about the Uber rental accounts and the Doordash rental accounts and more towards nefarious activity on Facebook. And because it gets so political, I'm not going to go into it, but the article is always in the description. Feel free to check it out. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. None of you pay me. There you go. I can't think of a single valid reason why this shouldn't have been attacked sooner, but I hate the reasons they're doing it for. I hate that this is about customer safety and not about driver safety or making the market less saturated with crappy drivers or driver teams or what have you. That's the frustrating part to me. I'm glad they're doing something, but in my mind, that means the upcoming legislation is going to be less about doing these orders properly and more about punishing drivers somehow, some way, because other drivers are doing something shady. That's what typically happens with the identity verification tool that they use, like to verify who you are. A lot of times they use that for mass deactivations, claiming they couldn't verify you, but in reality, they just didn't want you on the platform because you are a liability making too much money. Either way, I guess I'm glad they're doing something. And if you're at all concerned about the safety of your account, don't go into account rentals or don't go into methods that are not by the book. That's only going to hurt you in the long run. What I would normally recommend to people is to have a diversified gig portfolio, so in case one account goes down, you have plenty of more to work with. And you don't have to do that fraudulently. You could do that all legitimately and all by the standards of each platform involved. And most people find that they end up on platforms that are better than DoorDash and Uber ever were to them. This is one of the many things I talk about in the Driven Wyld Discord server. The Driven Wyld Discord community is exclusive for gig workers looking to expand their knowledge and expertise in their self-employment and entrepreneurial journeys. I've partnered with high-level professionals to bring you some of the most exclusive benefits based on your personal needs as a gig worker. Exclusive professional opportunities and gig postings. More live streams with high-level professionals in our industry. Educational systems designed to help you build your own delivery service provider as well as other scalable opportunities. Driven Wyld also has a build your own delivery service provider course, and we are changing the game and transforming how businesses serve customers and how gig workers get more opportunities. So whether you're a gig worker looking for more opportunities to learn or an exit strategy because the gig economy is an income bridge, what would be a long-term goal and not simply the goal, and you would like to see something with more growth potential and scalability, there's something here for you. Check the link in the description and get started with making the most amount of money in the least amount of time and in the safest possible way. We are excited and looking forward to helping you secure your financial future. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.